Right, hello guys and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. As promised, I have an update for you on the time until Shadow and Order, aka the June update, 57 days. The time draws ever closer, hang in there soldiers. But on to the video itself, today I've got a Solar Hunter build for you which I've always been a personal fan of, which I wanted to make a while back that I'm finally getting around to. And this is the Solar Hunter Knife God build, sporting top tier melee damage, excellent survivability through set bonuses and artifact combos, and is overall just a very fun build to slap on while doing any of your weekly rituals. So without further ado, let's get into it. And if you enjoyed today's content, your like and subscription would be very much appreciated. Okay, so to set the stage here, I'm going to compare the build that I'm going to show you today to another popular solar melee build, which is the Solar Bonk Titan. Now keep in mind, this is at 200 melee stats, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get two Roaring Flames times 3, and I'm going to show you how much damage that does versus this enemy here. So we go with a hammer, that's 589, so keep that in mind. Now we're going to do this again, but I'm on the hunter now, and I'm going to get to the max stacks of the buff on this build, and then I'm going to hit the Incendior. Let's get it for around 900 damage, so it is quite a lot more. Of course, with the Scorch ticks as well, it's going to go up to around 1,000, so roughly almost double damage with our melee ability. So I just wanted to show you that to really emphasize how much melee damage we are able to achieve with this build, to the point where it is comparable to certain other setups that are well known for their melee damage. Now, what is letting us achieve that? This is going to be the Ophidius Bathe chest piece, and now this is going to be the centerpiece of the whole build, and it has the main perk Scissor Fingers that states gain a second knife per charge. Getting a final blow with a throwing knife grants consecutive knives a temporary stacking damage bonus. Gambler's Dodge refreshes the bonus timer. So you can effectively think of this as Roaring Flames, like from the Titan. So all I need to do here is get one kill, and I get a stack of Scissor Fingers on the left of my screen. Get another kill, we have 2 stacks, and then get a third kill, and we have 3 stacks, which is the maximum. You can continue getting kills to refresh the buff. It's only around 5 seconds, which is obviously way less than Roaring Flames, but you do have the flexibility of being able to refresh it by dodging as well. But that is the main idea. And actually, the damage buff from Scissor Fingers at maximum is the exact same as Roaring Flames. 1 stack is 30%, 2 stacks is 60%, but at 3 stacks is a 200% increase to your melee damage, which is pretty significant. This exotic also gives you 2 knives per charge, and they are both refreshed when you use your Gambler's Dodge near an enemy. The knife of choice that we are using is Knife Trick, since in my opinion it feels the best with this sort of build, and I believe it does the most damage out of all of them, so just use Knife Trick. So essentially, the main loop of this build is we are just going to be spamming our knives, and with every kill that we get, we now have that 200% melee damage bonus going, and we can just keep spamming them over and over again without fear of ever really losing them. And because we are doing so much damage, it's actually going to consistently kill high health targets as well. So first things first, in order to get the most out of this build, we are going to dive into our subclass configuration. Now, for starters, I am going with the Blade Barrage Super because this did receive a buff in the Renegades expansion. I believe it was around like a 39% buff or something like that. I'll have the value up on screen. So even without Shards of Galanor or Star Eater Scales, it's still a very solid super for both boss damage and ad clear. Then for the dodge, we are going with Gambler's Dodge. If you ever end up losing your knives and you want to get both of them back very quickly, if you wanted, you could go for Acrobat Dodge for the Radiant, but you don't necessarily need that with the fragments that we are going with. Knife Trick, of course, because it does the most damage and it feels the best with this build. I've also gone for the Healing Grenade here because this is going to give us a easy access to Restoration, which we are then going to be able to loop with kills from our melee due to our fragments. For the aspects, the first one we are taking is Knock 'em Down. This one is going to make it so while Radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. Now, I'm just going to go quickly into the fragment that allows this interaction to happen. This is the classic Solar Hunter staple combo. You guys probably know about this already. Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant, and this works in tandem with Knock 'em Down, where the kill that you get with the knife will then instantly refund it. So these two must have together. Then Knock 'em Down also has a secondary effect where your supers are enhanced, and for Blade Barrage specifically, you launch more projectiles with the super. For the second aspect, we're taking On Your Mark. This one is going to make it so activating your class ability or landing precision hits grants you and nearby allies increased reload speed and weapon stat for a short duration, which stacks 10 times. Then the new trait, which you might not be aware of because you haven't played Solar Hunter in a while, Final Blows while at 10 stacks cure you. Now, the best way that I can describe this is it's like Solar Devour for hunters that's just like a little little bit weaker. So as a refresher for anybody who hasn't played Solar Hunter in a while or used the new aspect, precision hits, literally with any weapon, so with an SMG here, these give me stacks of on your mark on the left of my screen. So all I need to do is get up to 10 precision hits. If I damage myself and then I get a kill, it's going to refresh the timer all the way back up to 10 stacks and it's going to cure me. So again, if you look at my health bar here, it's going to refresh the timer, give me a bit of health back, and there is no cooldown on this. It works from weapons, it works from abilities as well. As you can see here, my ability kills are constantly healing me. So it's a very, very good survivability fragment for the hunter. Having an SMG or just any weapon that has like a high rate of fire to build up those stacks without even getting kills is very nice to have. So this is what I would recommend to running an SMG, but we'll talk about the weapons later because there is actually a really nice perk combination that makes this build even stronger. So we'll get to that. So that is it for the aspects. Knock them down and on your mark. Fragments. The first one I have here is Ember of Eruption. This is going to make it so your solar ignitions have increased area of effect. And to be honest, I am just using this for the plus 10 melee stat, which is really nice to get me all the way up to 200 melee, which we will talk about in just a moment. For the second, I have Ember of Singeing to make it so your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets, which we are going to be doing all of the time with our knives. Third, we have Ember of Empyrean, where solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects apply to you. Now, like I said earlier, just a note on Empyrean, this is going to be an easy way to get our restoration loop going. So all you're going to do is throw your healing grenade on the ground and then get a few knife kills like you normally would with the build, and then our restoration timer is constantly going to be improved. So we have the restoration from our healing grenade, and then we also have the healing from on your mark as well. So we're doubling up on our healing sources. We will have a third healing source, but we will get to that shortly. For the fourth fragment, we have Ember of Ashes. This one will make it so you apply more scorch stacks to targets, which typically is around 50%. So this will just be a more of a consistency thing and helps with the weapon interaction, which I spoke of earlier. Then finally, Ember of Torches, like we discussed earlier, to make you radiant on knife hits. So up next, onto the weapons. Speaking of that interaction that I mentioned earlier, you are going to want a weapon with Burning Ambition. Now, I have the Yeartide Apex here, which is no longer obtainable with Burning Ambition, but there are plenty of other weapons in the game with Burning Ambition. You literally just need one with it. And the reason we want this perk is because if you are dealing with high value targets and you want to make sure you get guaranteed ignitions, a single knife volley, even with Ember of Ashes, isn't enough to cause an ignition. However, if you have a Burning Ambition weapon, shooting targets that are already scorched doesn't require you to have any sort of ramp up. It will immediately start applying more scorch stacks from your weapon. So that's going to look like this. I'm going to hit the knives and I'm going to shoot a little bit, and then we already have an ignition. I believe it's because the knives themselves apply like a bunch of scorch. It's around 90 or something. I'll have the exact number on screen, but it doesn't take a lot of shooting to then activate the ignition with your weapon. So on the off chance you are fighting high health targets, which you will be, have a Burning Ambition weapon to guarantee those ignitions. And because the source of the scorch initially came from a melee ability, if the ignition gets kills that you created, that will count as a melee kill and refund your knives at the same time. For your other weapons, you could also go for the Praxic Blade. I haven't actually used the Praxic Blade with this. The only reason you would use it is to take advantage of the Hyperblade Catalyst, which makes it so reflecting shots causes you to become amplified, which, as we all know, is a 15% damage resist and makes enemies less accurate when targeting you. Very powerful effect. That is the only reason I would use the Praxic Blade there for amplified acquisition, but because this is a melee build, we don't want to be using the Praxic Blade terribly often because it overrides our melee abilities. So that's kind of a choice preference. Rocket Pulse works perfectly fine. After that, I just have a sword for movement. Okay, so now onto the stats. First of all, and most importantly, you are going to want 200 melee stat. Now, the reason you want that is because at 200 melee stat, you're going to be gaining 30% increased melee damage. That is a multiplicative scalar, purely just for the fact that our knives are going to be dealing more damage. It is just a must-have. After that, I have gone for 100 super and then around 47 class. I don't care about health. I don't care about grenade. I also don't care about weapons. The three that you should care about are melee, super, and class. I could do with a little bit more class, to be honest. This is less than ideal, but remember, because we have Ember of Singeing, we do have the bonus ability energy that we get from that as well. That kind of makes up for it. In terms of the pieces that got me to this distribution, my helmet is Paragon with a tertiary stat in weapons, which could be better, could be class. My gloves are Brawler with a tertiary stat in class. My chest piece is Brawler with a tertiary stat in class. My boots are Paragon with a tertiary stat in grenade. And then my class item is Paragon with a tertiary stat in weapons. Again, could be better, it could be class. And speaking of stats, what are the set bonuses that we are using in this build? Well, one of them is going to be the Ferropotent armor set, because this one is going to make it so whenever we heal through cure, through restoration, we are going to gain a 10% damage resist for around 7 seconds. It's just one stack of the general resist ×1 family. It's pretty nice, and it's going to be active almost almost all the time because of all the healing that we're going to be getting with our kills. And for a class that is relatively squishy and doesn't have any damage resistance verbs by default, it is very nice to have. And secondly, unfortunately, I don't have this, but I would recommend it if you kept any armor to have the 2-piece smoke jumper set as well, because the 2-piece smoke jumper is going to make it so whenever you collect an orb of power, you're going to get rapidly decaying damage resistance that starts at around 45%, obviously goes down to 15%, so it averages out to around 30% for around 3 seconds, which again is just a really nice way of getting some free damage resist. And especially if you combine that with triple heavy-handed on your gloves, you're going to be making an orb with every single melee kill, and then collecting that is going to activate smoke jumper, giving you the DR as well as from Ferropotent as well. Combine those together, you have a very good damage resistance setup for a class that doesn't have any by default. So I know smoke jumper is very difficult to obtain now. You can only get it from Hawthorne engrams, but if you manage to keep any and you were lucky that they were brawler pieces from back in the day, definitely use those because they will be very good to pair with this build. Okay, so onto the artifact perks now. There are 3 that are rather important, and those are going to be Power from Pain, Singularity Blade, and Void Infestation. And the reason we are using those is because we have a little trick up our sleeves with a finisher mod that we are using. Now this is the Bulwark finisher. This one is going to make it so finisher final blows generate an overshield, and it's going to consume 3 armor charges, but here's what that looks like. All I need to do here is hit a finisher, and then I am going to get around 8 seconds of void overshield. And when I have it paired with Singularity Blade, every single melee kill that I make is going to spawn a void infestation orb, and then that is going to weaken other enemies. It's going to kill them. Obviously this is the firing range, so it's not going to be able to kill all of them, but as you can see on the left hand side of my screen, I have Devour now because of Power from Pain. So all you need to do is get a finisher that is going to give you a little bit of overshield, and assuming that the overshield doesn't fall off, if in that time you manage to get enough melee kills, you should be able to trigger Devour, which again is going to be even more healing. It's going to give you grenade energy as well. So stack Devour on top of on your mark. You've got some really nice amount of heals from each and every kill that you're getting with your knives. So again, just to reiterate, that is Power from Pain, where rapid final blows against weakened combatants give you Devour. Singularity Blade to make your melees apply weaken while you have a void buff, which in this case is the overshield. Then Void Infestation to spawn the tracking orb whenever you kill those weakened enemies as well, to make your chances of getting Devour even higher. Finishing up with the armor mods here. On the helmet, I've taken 2 copies of Hands On so that whenever we get melee kills, we are getting some bonus super energy, and then also a solar siphon for my SMG. For the gloves, I have triple heavy-handed to reduce the cooldown of orbs on melee kill to the minimum, so it's going to be every kill that we get will make an orb. For the chest piece, it is general resist mods like usual. Then for the boots, I have stacks on stacks, innovation, and recuperation for a bit more health and grenade energy. Then finally for the class item, like we discussed, we have Bulwark finisher, and then I've gone for double powerful attraction to make it so that my radius of orb collection is larger. As far as the optimal gameplay loop for this build is concerned, it is literally just making sure you get those first few melee kills, and then after that, it is just spamming them over and over again. Yes, your damage resistance might be a little lower than other classes because you don't have access to Woven Mail or Frost Armor or Amplified. You could do if you use the Praxic Blade, but generally, if you are getting kills, you will be sustaining yourself well enough. It is admittedly not as powerful as something like a Prismatic Hunter build with all the damage resist that they have going on, but it is still very fun to use, and I still wanted to make this video because I am quite a big fan of the build, and it is just fun. Like I said, very fun time, and if you're just hopping on every once in a while these days on Destiny to just do some Vanguard alerts or something, just slap on this build, have a fun time. That's all you really need to do. If you are interested in the fashion for this build, this is what I've come up with here on screen. Bit of a tactical hunter look, black and white. I know, cliche, but it looks clean. And that is going to do it for today's video. As always, the dim links for these builds will be in the description box down below. And if you enjoyed today's build, then your like and subscription would be very much appreciated. And also, join the Discord if you would like to be part of a community that still enjoys Destiny 2 and is looking forward to the future of the game. But that is going to do it from me today, guys. So thank you once again for coming and watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.